you flash over that last bit of black sand, and you've got 15, 20, 25 sparkly things on your pan, and you're like, you want to show somebody. You're like, dude, check this out. And you're like, he's like, sick.
Happiness needs to be shared.
I wish
right?
I found that rock.
Yeah.
Good rock, man. My rock sucks.
Welcome to the Wilderness Wavelength Podcast.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Wilderness Wave Podcast.
There it
George,
is.
Scott, Matthew here this evening, and looking forward to entertain everybody with a great story.
I love it. Matthew Ritchie back on the show. Welcome again, Matt. Scott Sunderwald.
Yeah, good to be back.
Matt, we're talking gold tonight, too. You brought gold to the podcast, even.
Yeah, just a little bit. It's, it's not too much. Like I was telling the boys, I don't think you could weigh it, but you can shine it out and look at it. And it's all super fine placer gold around here. And it's, it's dust.
Do you call that flour gold? Is there a difference between gold dust and flour gold?
Flour placer gold around here is all you're going to get. The biggest piece I've ever found is and it's smashed as thin as a piece of paper, or even half as thin as a piece of paper, the corner of a piece of loose leaf.
Okay.
Like if you could just nip the tiniest piece off of that corner.
Yeah.
And I found that under a 10-ton boulder on the, where were we? On the McLeod River. I do most of my stuff on the McLeod River.
Okay. Yeah, are we going into secret spots on this
No,
episode?
there's no secret spots. Honestly, the river is full of it everywhere in the McLeod River.
Huh.
So, like this, I could be upsetting the apple cart by talking too much about it, but you could go out with a dinner plate on the McLeod River, and if you just had the inkling to dig underneath a big rock, and you took your time and you worked that material, by the end of it, you could have a fly poop or two. But on a good pan, you're going to get, I'm not going to get it over the top, but you might get 8 to 10, 12 colors in a pan. And
how long have you been doing it for?
4 or 5 years maybe.
Okay.
But just dabbling. I'm no professional. This was just something. I got told there was flour gold in the rivers around here and that it wasn't anything spectacular. But if you work at it and you actually follow what you're supposed to do, you can find a good run of gold. And the best material, it's more difficult to work with, but the best material to work with is river moss. Because it acts like its own sluice box, like on the river floods in the spring of the year when you get your high point. And you really want to work the high points, unless you're going to move a lot of material. But, just your traditional looking for golds on the inside of bends and your negative space where the heavy material is going to drop out. And you're looking for things that are going to accompany gold. So if you're finding little garnets and your ironstones, you're looking for ironstones and black sands.
Yeah.
And if you find either of those in the pan, you're in the right area. So if you're getting a lot of black sand and a lot of these little tiny ironstones left over after you're done washing out a big pan of material, you know you're in the right spot. Because you know for certain if you're getting those two things and there's no gold in your pan, move on.
Huh.
You're getting me excited, man, because I love to ride the rivers, the McLeod. I love to fish and hunt, of course. But so is this primarily what you're going out for? Or you're like, you know what? I'll just throw the pan in there, but I'm doing other things today.
It's an opportunity to be on water, and it kind of... There's a baser instinct inside of a human being. I think that for certain individuals, it's an excitement thing. Like, oh, there's gold there.
Yeah,
there's actual gold there. And, you can find a good little spot where you can, if you work it for a day, you could get a gram on the McLeod River. Like, that doesn't seem like a lot, but if you're working a gram and a half, and you got a little high banker, and
well, I had to look it up today.
That's an ounce.
Grams worth $143.
Yeah.
Today.
So if you if you had a good bench, good gravel bar that you were working, and you stuck at it. Like if you know, retired fella, and that's what I've seen the guys around here. It's old retired guys, and they set up and they just move material, and at the end of the day, they get a little gram. But if you're doing that over a summer, you might wind up with a half ounce.
Yeah.
And I think that's just neat. My whole goal, the whole thing was I do these little hobbies and I get into stuff because I wanted to make my wife an anniversary ring. And I contacted a jeweler in Edmonton, and I'm up from New York City, and he was the head Tiffany's jeweler in downtown New York.
Yeah.
And somebody had given me his number, and I knew none of this. And he's like, how did you get my number? And I said, oh, I was given a reference that you are the man to talk to.
Yeah.
And I said that if I produced a half ounce of gold, would it be enough to make an anniversary ring and or some earrings or something of that matter?
Yeah.
And he was like, what kind of gold? And I was like, oh, I'm going to pan it out of the river.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? And I was like, yeah, well, I mean, I'm going to attempt it. And he's like, an ounce was my original goal, and I found that to be quite hefty, like realistically, with time spent and having a young family and that sort of stuff. But yeah, that was the whole thing. And he's like, about 14 grams. I could make earrings, I could make the ring, I could.
Wow.
So that, you see, it was more than enough. So that's the end goal.
Yeah.
And now that Kate's moving around and she's okay, I can let her wander and carry on and have fun.
Yeah.
To actually set up, I have a small high banker. It
I
doesn't
was going to ask you, so what is a high banker?
So a high banker is what you can think of. It has how do we explain this on the radio? It's a box that you set at an angle.
Yeah.
To say 17 degrees on your lower box, and then your upper box where you shovel what you people would think where you're shoveling your dirt into.
Yeah.
That's your sluice box.
Okay.
Or no, sorry, that I might be talking. So you're throwing it into your hopper and going through your grizzly bars, and that's where you have your water injection if you're running a small electric pump or a gas powered like a Honda or whatever like that, small gear pump. And but I don't use that. I have a little electric 3,500 gallon per minute pump.
Yeah.
Not 30 per hour. Yeah, hooked up on a 1.5 inch hose, and that seems to work good.
Cool.
I haven't got a whole lot of run time on the high banker. It seems all right, but the way I move material, I work 5-gallon buckets that I have graduated holes drilled into, and I use them like a shaker box. And I'll have my one bucket full of water, and I drop the next one in, and then I'll shovel the gravel into that.
Okay.
And then I just shake the box. So I have one that's a 1/4 inch and one that's 1/8 of an inch. So if I want to really work some material over, I can shake it right down so that all I'm left with is sand, black sand, small heavy stone, and small material. So then I can run it through my gold cube. So the gold cube is a 4-tiered system. It's a plastic box, and it already has the pre-designed angles that work best for water flow to recover gold. And these things boast like a 99% recovery rate on flour gold, and that's exactly what we have. So I do test pans. I go out and I pick spots, and I try to find a good area where I'm getting 10, 15 colors per pan. So once I achieve that in a spot, I just say the hell with it, and I just start shaking material down.
Yeah.
And then run that through my gold cube. And you can see it immediately. You take a small scoop and you run it across the gold cube, and you're catching everything on that first pass.
Huh. You following this, Scott?
Kind of, yeah. And that was my question. You know, what are the chances of finding this gold flower just by taking out the classic gold pan in your canoe when you're fishing? Like, is it going to work?
Oh yeah, flip over and on river bends. You're going to be working on the insides where you can see. You have to think when you're looking on the river where the way the gold is so much. I think it's 13 times heavier.
Right.
Than water. So it's so light and small, you have to expect that the water's moving hard enough to move it, to pick it up and actually get it flowing to the spaces on the inside bend runs where that negative space is, where it's going to come out of that high flow and hit those dead areas and then dissipate in with the gravels. So you're going to be running, you're looking for good gravel runs. And
so you're looking at the inside bend, not the outside bend.
Well, there's different concentrations, but the main one to think is that negative eddy on the inside.
Interesting. Yeah. So I was looking up permits today. And so if you're doing hand tools, you don't need any permits.
No.
And if you are getting into the sluice boxes and mechanized stuff, you're looking at $50 for 5 years, right?
Yep. It's nothing. It's nothing really.
Pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Where do you sell the stuff? Like, so let's say you get your gram or your ounce.
Yeah.
Where are you going with it?
It would be cool to melt myself down a little bar and set it in my gun safe.
Yeah.
And have make my own stamp. Like I've got a welder and all that stuff. I could make my own initials and stamp little gold bar of Alberta. But the way things are going, the ability to fall in needed to sit down on a weekend and collect $300-400. If you wanted to work, run a shovel, work your hands. A fellow could make a little bit of money.
Yeah.
It's not crazy to think. But you'd need some sort of mechanical device, like if you're going to work that type of material. A shaker box, you could just run a shaker box, like an old school, a rocker box. And all it is just you have your angle set up on your washboard, and you throw your material up on it, and then you have it in the water, and you're shaking it, rocking it back and forth like a baby. Think of a baby in a little carriage, car seat, and you're just rocking her back and forth.
Yeah.
And you have a pot of water.
Yeah.
And you're picking a pot of water up out of the creek, and you're just splashing on your wash plant. Throw another shovel on, wash it down. See, that would be work just great. You do move good material, but the McLeod here is decent for fun. Like if you want to go out and you want to have fun and be like, oh, I got a little bit of gold. The North Saskatchewan River is a different thing, like because you could produce 2-3 grams of gold a day if you find a good streak.
Yeah, I was looking up the highest concentration of gold, according to a few spots on Google there, was North Saskatchewan this is in Alberta, but from Devon, which is like 25K upstream from Edmonton, and then about 150K downstream from Edmonton. So like that stretch there seems like it's pretty heavy.
Well, and they have, what do you call them, sanctuaries or preserve areas for gold panning.
Oh, do they? Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, but you're not allowed to use. It's only hand tools, I believe, in certain areas.
Yeah.
And you can't I don't think you're allowed heavy equipment in those panning. They're panning reserves, I believe, is what they're called.
Is there like a gold panning community out here? Like, are you running into people on McLeod gold panning, or?
I have friends that are super passionate. Ian Ortloff, like the fact he's not sitting beside me, he's up in Grand Prairie now for a few years, so. That guy loves it. Yeah. And he's got all the gadgets and whistles. And, like awesome stuff. Actually, my little high banker system came from him, and all the different. I have a lot of fabric, like for the different washboards and stuff.
Okay.
Your mass and V matting and moss and.
Interesting.
Yeah. Some guys can just. Oh, sorry, Scott.
Well, I was just going to say, George, you mentioned the rivers, and probably you saw some others there. Because I was doing some research, and we'll maybe bounce these off you here, Matt. But the McLeod, North Saskatchewan, the Athabasca, Red Deer, Old Man River, Peace River, Crow's Nest River, and around Piers. And
Piers, that's the one. The rest of them, there could be traces of stuff, but there's not like
needle in a haystack.
Yeah, and there's never been anything that I've jumped out at me when your guys are talking on forums and stuff like that. Now, Piers is a very interesting area because it has an old history of gold mining back. They run dredges on that.
Okay.
Yeah, they got a festival like the Gold Dust Days or something, eh?
So what river are we talking about in Piers?
That's probably the McLeod going through. Is it not?
It's still the McLeod.
Okay. Yeah, because it's headed towards Whitecourt, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I always make sure I don't confuse that one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the McLeod.
Yeah. It is, from area satellite photograph. I had a friend, Ian, he showed me, they dredged that whole river, like old school dredging. And they would have missed a ton of gold. Like if the guys you watch, like Parker and all those guys and the gold mining on TV, they rework all this old material and find an enormous amount of gold that these guys, because the equipment, they were just moving mass amounts of quantity, and if they were getting gold, they were getting gold. But I always think about those enormous piles of material that they washed out, because you can see them from the map, and they're pyramided up along the riverbanks, because they were running these barges up the river and then just shoveling, using water hydraulics just to dredge the bottom of that river and recovering. They scooped her all up. Yeah.
Right.
It was something, the amount, hundreds of thousands of ounces, I think, that they.
Wow. That's cool. Yeah, and as far as
I could be
as far as nuggets go, it's exactly what you said. Most people are finding flour gold, but nuggets. One guy found one recently in the McLeod River near Whitecourt, the size of a pea, which is pretty big for here. He was saying
That's substantial.
Yeah.
Like that's a unicorn if he found something.
yeah, he did, and that was fairly recent.
I think it might have amalgamated under a rock and pounded itself back together.
Maybe. And the Crow's Nest Pass, a nugget was found there, as well as the Red Deer River. So they're few and far between.
Yeah.
But, the history is the glaciation with glacial flour that kind of carried this stuff, right, from the Shield Country and maybe British Columbia. Because we always hear about BC and the Yukon have substantial gold deposits.
The divide really makes the difference.
Sure.
Like the continent on the mountain range
Continental
there.
divide.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a 5-question gold panning quiz. Not even just gold panning, but just gold quiz for you
Oh,
guys.
geez. I know nothing about
Well, yeah,
gold.
you-
I don't know. I
got
talk a lot.
this.
I don't know nothing. I'm just. I can swirl the pan full of water around and
Yeah.
look, honey, I found it. Look at it.
It's shiny.
Get the microphone. Get the mic. Yeah, magnifying glass out. Look at this.
Okay, question number 1. Where was the biggest piece of gold ever found? I'm going to give you guys multiple choice. A, Canada, B, Russia, C, Australia.
Australia.
Scott?
Australia.
Okay. You looked at Matt at that one. Yeah, it was Australia, yeah. Australia, the biggest piece of gold.
Their alluvial gold is monstrous because it's reef gold.
Yeah.
And it's still in its crystalline form. Like they can get absolute monster, but I believe that one it's huge. They have it on a pedestal. The old feller's standing beside it.
Question number 2 on the quiz: how big was it? Net weight. So I got 3 options for you.
I think it's 100 and some kilograms.
I can't confirm or deny that. But yeah. And, so option A, 67.2 pounds, B, 156.6 pounds, or C, 239.2 pounds.
B.
I'm going C, based on what Matt was suggesting.
Matt is correct with B, 156.6 pounds. So that's 2,284 troy ounces.
So that's right, about 100 kilograms, I think I was about right. That's
Melted down to gold bars. This one was too. So
That's amazing.
Yeah, huge. Imagine finding something like that in the McLeod.
I found that I've talking rocks. That's a whole different thing. Like, so getting interested with rocks, there's certainly some stuff that I went to get, what do you call them? Feather and chisel bits and be able to split some rock.
Okay.
And take my impact out. I found this one particular stone, enormous, looks like an egg, and it probably weighs 500-600 pounds. It's huge, absolutely huge, and it has these marble nodules. They're perfectly round. They look like eggs, little, I would say, tangerine-sized marble balls inside of this. And it's not a concretion. It looks like marble. It's really interesting. Anyway, so I went on Amazon immediately after I got home, and I was like, okay, I'll buy these chisels, and I can get an impact out there with a good bit, and I'll drill a couple holes and slab this out.
Yeah.
Well, gold is often found in quartz seams. Is that not correct?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in its native
seems-
habitat
yeah.
where it was formed. And that's where you'll get that gold that's not hasn't been touched really since it was formed, and it's very veiny. And it's crystalline for it's all pointy and contorted at different angles on it and stuff.
So did you get that rock split open then?
No. I didn't end up getting the chisels. What happened? I think they ended up not coming.
Okay.
And it's that rock sitting up on that corner in the McLeod River, and I've thought about it several times over the last couple of years. Yeah, like I will split that open.
Yeah. Okay, so Matt's 2 for 2. Scott, you're 50. Okay, so question number 3: which river in Canada produces the most gold? So I'm going to give you 3 options here. A, the Fraser River, B, the Klondike River, or C, the North Saskatchewan River.
Fraser.
Oh, yeah, I was going to go Fraser.
Yeah, you guys are both on it. Wow.
I wish I lived near the Fraser for gold. I would know where all the property lines are. I would know where all the claims are.
Yeah.
And then I would work every little bit of that.
Well, that big gold rush with the Overlanders in 1862 was the Fraser Canyon gold rush, right?
Yeah, before we turn the mics on, you said they were coming from Ontario.
Yeah. So
to go get that gold?
Right. So we got the Overlander Trail just a hop and a skip down the road here.
Yeah.
The Overlander Lodge, and 150 adventurers came from mostly Ontario, mostly men, but apparently there were some families involved. Ox-drawn carts, and they were headed to the Fraser River in BC. They made it through in 5 months, which is crazy if you think of Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, through the mountains and swamps. There weren't any proper roads.
Yeah.
Many of them died along the way, and most of them didn't find much gold or strike it rich. But some of them did settle in the Okanagan Valley, so that's part of that BC history there.
The drive for gold gets people excited. You know,
Gold
like that.
fever.
Let's do it. We're going up to Dawson City. Or have you ever done any trips like Yukon, like heading out to that historic sites or anything like that?
No, I have gold towns. We were actually in Arizona, and there was a gold town that we visited.
Okay.
And it was kind of overdone. I guess it was more of a Hollywood-esque type gold town, but it was cute and fun. And they had the Western shootouts. Fuller stepped out on the street and had pop guns and stuff.
Yeah.
And didn't end up going into the mine. It was supposed to be Old Dutch, they had set this town up and brought in these old buildings from other ghost towns that were just sitting there. So they ended up building this whole gold town out of it. It was neat enough, but other than that, no, not really.
My dad, we went up. We did like the highway to Alaska there, and we stopped in Dawson City, and like he was like, we should get like a claim here and stuff. So I don't think he's still on the same page anymore. Like he's retired now. He's like, this might not be for me anymore. But it's just the allure of like one day, you just find that nugget or that chunk and
you could, and that's the drive. Anything. You shoot the big deer or you shoot the big elk.
Yeah.
I could see how it'd be addicting, man. Like just having your little vial sitting there. I'm already feeling the gold fever starting to creep in.
I saw Scott trying to pull it out of his pocket.
Yeah. You're going to have to pry it over to my dead hands by the end of the night. But seriously, it's always that sense that I could just try one more river bend and
there, if you just look at
I
it
might find it.
You can really see it.
Yeah.
There.
That's cool.
So I have a question with this. We're going to get back to your quiz here, but so
I
many
forgot.
questions. But
Sidetrack.
how do you know when you get this shiny stuff you don't have fool's gold? In
Pyrite is easily distinguishable from gold in the manner that it acts in the pan.
Okay.
Gold doesn't move in the pan. Like you have to that amount of gold in the pan, and if I had the same amount of pyrite, that pyrite would be at the bottom of my pan with sand and rocks. Yeah. Rocks that would be substantially the size of peas, like those size of rocks, and the pyrite would come down at my pan when I'm washing and working that material back to the backside of my pan.
It's just a lot lighter.
Oh, it's so much lighter, so much.
Okay.
I don't know what the weight is, but it's like one. Like,
and how are you getting these little grains out of the pan into this cute little vial here? You use a Q-tip?
I'm trying to think of something funny to say other than just a large amount of annoyance and continual work. You can get a Miller plate, which is it's a very fine grit, like an unbelievably fine grit out of a plate, and you have water running down it over it. It's kind of like having like cardboard texture, and you just put that material up on there like you're already worked over. You'll have heavy black sands. The black sand separating flour gold to that measure and having no black sands in it is a Miller table is your best way, other than just sitting in a pan, getting an eyedropper, little squeezer eyedropper, medicine dropper, whatever you want.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And you just go yoink,
suck it up
yoink,
one
yoink,
at a time.
yoink.
Wow.
And is this in water or oil? This is stuff in the
No,
bottle?
that's just water. That's fresh water. I should have cleaned that out, and because I had a little bit left, there was black sand and everything in there, and I was like, because when I picked up the container, I was like, ooh. But yeah, I have an eyedropper that has maybe 3-4 times that amount, but it's in with a bunch of black sand, and I'm just like, all right, I know it's in there.
When I got the time.
Yeah.
Because it does
Separate it out.
Yeah, painstaking. Guys, you could sit in a pan and just suck it out, little eyedropper, and then pull it all apart.
It's meditative.
Yeah.
For sure. Because I don't even know if that would be 0.05 of a gram, probably. Not like maybe 0.05.
Very tiny earrings.
Very
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's what you could expect if you pulled 3 or 4 pans out and you want to know what's in a good area. That's when I know, like, that's a high banker spot.
Yeah.
I would go, and if I spent the day with my high banker and my gold cube, I'd probably get a gram out of there. Gram it. Like I'm just merely guessing and hoping.
Yeah.
Hopes and prayers.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, question 4. What was the highest price gold has ever been at? A, 2,200 per ounce, B, 34.35 per ounce, or C, 12.45 per ounce?
Right now, today.
Yeah.
The market today.
Yeah.
Right today is the highest it's ever been.
It's true. That's what's crazy. It's when I put this quiz together, we were going to do this last week or whatever. 34.35 was the highest, and it happened April 16, 2025 was the highest it's ever been. And
they say right in times of crisis, gold holds its value more than anything else. Get rid of your Bitcoin, boys.
Gold's
get back
the way.
to the gold bars.
And precious metal. It's precious metals, precious stones, diamonds. Diamonds are, people don't realize that diamonds, like, they're not precious. Diamonds are not a precious stone. Diamonds are everywhere in the world. It's a controlled market. We won't go down that rabbit hole with the
I've
beer
heard the
company.
concept, though. Yeah.
It's a completely controlled market in which there's artificial inflation on the demand for diamonds. So,
but the other thing about gold is they say not only is it pretty and valued for jewelry, etc., but it's so valued for, space engineering and stuff in computer chips and so forth. Like, it's actually a mineral that you need to do stuff with. So it will never lose its value, and there's a finite amount.
yeah, I'll go get my tinfoil hat now.
Yeah.
Not your gold foil.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's exactly right, Scott. It's gold's used in a lot of stuff that people don't realize too.
Yeah.
Okay, last question of the quiz. True or false, there is gold on the moon?
I'm going to go false. I have to answer one before Matt does.
Yeah. Matt, what do you think?
I'm going to say true because gold was deposited on Earth via cosmic strike, and then there would be displacement from that to the moon. So to think if Earth has it, the moon should have it.
It's true. Matt's 5 for 5.
Matt is 5 for 5.
Wow.
That's why he's our guest expert here tonight.
No, I don't know nothing.
They say
I'm
that-
guessing. See, this is how I graduated high school. I just sat there and went,
There
Gold
was
on
a
the moon.
theory that the moon came from the Pacific Ocean, actually, with the collision. Yeah, so that makes sense that way back when it had some connection to the Earth.
Yeah, they say there's gold there present in memorable or measurable quantities too. So like,
Yeah.
I don't know what that looks like for the future, but
There
I
you go.
could have seen something on CNN. They were going to go mine the mooner.
yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Is that Fox News? I don't know. Which
Katy
one.
Perry's up there mining the moon.
She's an astronaut.
Yeah. Yeah, well, 5 for 5, Matt. So you win some kind of prize. We'll send you some gold. Or
Oh,
something.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll have another beer.
You need one?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay, Scott, we got some would you rather questions too.
I got lots of would you rathers. I've got some other questions. Maybe we dive in first.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
So, you play the what if game here, Matt. You can't fall asleep. It's 2 a.m. You think about finding the big gold nuggets that have never been found on the McLeod. If you struck it rich with gold, what would you buy?
That's a good question.
What are you doing with your millions of dollars?
An acreage. I would.
Oh, really?
I would probably stay around here somewhere, and I would buy the KOA and kick everybody out, and I would own that whole acreage up next to the mountains, next to Seabolt.
Yeah.
Yeah. See you later.
Plant some alfalfa to bring the deer in.
Oh, elk. Oh my goodness.
There's a little creek running through there, probably filled
It is.
with
It's
gold.
beautiful.
Too.
Oh my! I wouldn't be surprised. I actually went up to the headwaters in the McLeod, up to the divide, because I had heard tell the guys, actual old timers, working that material in there, and it's big rock and it's big wash through there, and there was times that so locals up in that mine way back in the day, the guys, they would actually on their breaks and stuff would try to find that seam where it's coming down off the Cardinal, and there is a seam there, and there's gold present on the upper hill, but it's all placer up there too, so it could just be a large, there's not a seam, it was part of it, and it's displaced, and it's just a large amount of placer that just gets washed up every year, and there is no seam. I didn't find anything up there around town that blew my socks off, for me to go out to Catamount and to work around that area, that I didn't find in the lower areas where next to out on the Rob Road and connecting down through. There's good spots. You just watch out for grizzlies everywhere.
Yeah, grizzlies everywhere. How about you, George? What are you doing? You struck it rich. You got gold to blow. What are you doing?
Man, gold to blow. I mean, I'm kind of like a move in with Matt there on the acreage. I think that'd be the same thing. I'd buy a nice big chunk of land and a cabin in the forest. And
Siegfried and Roy here,
Yeah,
style. Get some tigers and lions.
It's called FU money.
Yeah, exactly.
It would just everything would be paid for, and you'd sit back and be like,
no Porsche 911, none of this
never had
luxury.
any interest in that stuff. I drive a beater truck and have no interest in getting a new truck. It's just
okay.
I would not buy new.
Yeah.
Because that's not my style. I would definitely rebuild something old. Nice old C10.
Yeah.
For my town projects, going to Home Hardware, that sort of stuff. I don't know.
The thing with a little bit of extra gold money is it just gives you a little extra time. So okay, I got some projects that I want to do, but I could get someone else to do them for me with my gold here. So here's a gold bar. Go, build me a new garage or something. So,
okay.
Yeah. How about you?
Well, I'd have to buy my dream rifle. I don't even know what it is. Probably a Seiko 300 Win Mag. I'm thinking maybe a Zeiss or Swarovski scope. Just something that's just stinking beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Piece of land. Yes, that does sound amazing. I'd probably rebuild my house. I love where I live back on the bush there on Fairfax, and just fix that sucker up and do it up pretty. I'm not a big luxury guy. Maybe a nice trip to the Caribbean. Yeah.
Big gold chain.
Big gold chain. Yeah. Big alarm clock around my neck on a gold chain. Yeah, that's my dream.
Yeah.
Another question for you. Movies with gold. Think back to some of your favorite. Well, they don't have to be your favorite, but movies with gold.
The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Oh, yes. That was on my list.
That just immediately pops in my that'll makes my hair stand up the back of my neck now.
The old gold canyon with the prospector.
Yeah, he gets bushwhacked. He knew that guy, he knew he was being watched, and when he finally hit Mr. Seam, where are you, Mr. Seam? It's not Sutherland. That actor. He did a good job, and you would. I had it. anyways, we'll get off of that. But yeah, he gets bushwhacked. A guy comes up, he hit the seam, and he's packing up, and he finally found it. And yeah, he gets shot in the back and ends up getting him. He gets him, and he packs up and heads off into the wild blue yonder, heading for home with a bag full of gold.
Yeah.
And it actually leaves you thinking he survived. So it's not like a Shane moment. You know, Shane rides off in the distance, and people are like, "Oh, Shane survived," and you're like, "Nah." You see him slump over in the saddle at the last end. That last second, he slumps in the saddle.
Yeah.
You know, the old guy rides off, so it's all good.
Yeah.
Great story.
It's a great story. How about you, George? What comes to mind?
I can't think of any.
Nothing with gold?
No, give me a list of a few. I'm terrible with movies, but if you name a couple, I might.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm going to say, if you like the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, have you seen Sisu?
Oh, dude, that's I wouldn't.
I
would
watched it
suggest
twice.
for children to watch that movie. It is funny.
Children don't listen to this show, so give it. Yeah, he
It
takes
is
on
a
the Nazis. He finds gold.
Yeah.
In Finland. I
Okay.
watch it twice in a row, and I'd watch it again.
So he's a World War I survivor.
Yeah.
And this is during World War II. And the guy he was a loner and spent his time out in the wilderness with his dog, being a miner.
Yeah.
And he hits her rich. And the troop of Germans find him on the road when he's coming back to town. And violence ensues. And
Lots of violence.
Lots of violence. The man doesn't have a pain reaction. His nervous system didn't react to pain. So the atrocities that he committed and were committed against him, and he survived.
Yeah.
And
It's a great show.
It's a great show.
It's on
It is,
Netflix right now.
oh yeah.
one?
Oh, is yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sisu.
You gotta watch it.
SISU. Big yellow letters. Everybody watch it.
Yeah, watch it.
Okay.
Another one, this one you'd know for sure, George. Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the
course.
Black Pearl
Yeah.
with the cursed gold.
Yeah.
The other one that comes to mind is The Hobbit with Smaug sitting on his big treasure.
Oh, and
Treasure.
a gold. Oh,
Yeah, and
small,
of course.
the
dragon.
Yeah,
And then the
yeah.
gold fever sets in, right? What do you think of gold fever, man? Have you
Gold-
tossed that around in your mind? Is that a real thing?
I think so, and that's where I say go back to that basic instinct. There is a drive. There is an innate drive inside of us to the pursuit of treasure, that ultimate payday. If somebody's got that in mind, and to be able to take a resource with your own hands out of the ground there can be. And that gold fever is a real thing. Guys went crazy trying to hit it rich, chasing that seam, chasing the court seam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try to run in half a mile into a mountain.
Well, that kind of ties us into, we got to get into George's story about the legend of the Lost Lemon Mine, because
Yeah.
gold fever sets in there.
Yeah.
I can set the stage
Do it,
historically, and then you've got a bit of a family story, I
Yeah.
understand. I don't know what it is, so I'm kind of keen. Got to put on the reading glasses here, folks. So this is an Alberta legend, the legend of the Lost Lemon Mine. Do you know about this, Matt?
I've heard of it. Ian has told me about it.
Okay.
I don't
all right.
know much. I'm learning here today.
Okay, let's dig in. So this is apparently a true story. In the early 1870s, two prospectors, Frank Lemon and a companion known as Blackjack,
Yeah.
good name,
Blackjack.
ventured into the rugged terrain by Highwood River and the Crow's Nest Pass in southwestern Alberta. According to the legend, they discover a rich gold-bearing ledge in a remote valley. However, the celebration is short-lived. A violent dispute over the find, so there's that gold fever, led to Blackjack's murder at Lemon's hands. And what I heard from the legend was he was killed with a pickaxe by Lemon. And witnesses, so two Stony Braves, reported the crime to their chief, Jacob Bearspaw, and he swore them to secrecy to prevent a gold rush on the Stony land. So Lemon, racked with guilt, later confessed to a priest and showed him a sample of the gold. A search party was dispatched, but upon reaching the site, they found only a cairn marking Blackjack's grave with no trace of the mine itself. And now, over years, numerous expeditions have attempted to locate the lost Lemon Mine, but none have succeeded. And that's the perfect segue to George.
Yeah, well, this was a family friend, like my buddy's dad. His friend was like big into this, so they would go on expeditions to find this mine. And so he's done research, and so he came on this old podcast I had to have his story, and he brought in like this PowerPoint presentation to show us all the things that he did, and then they spent a lot of time up there, and the rumor is that gold is cursed, and they think that the Stoney tribe cursed like the mountain so no one could do it, and so then Robert Losey, this was the guy, he said that they created something now so that the government's not allowed to sell it to anyone. So like this is off limits. No one's allowed to go in and mine it at all. And so he stopped going. But the last time he went, he thought he was close and he got sick up there. And when he got back, he had a heart condition and eventually led to him having to get like a pacemaker installed. And Robert actually passed away like 2 years ago. And about like 3 months before he died, he had me over to his place and he wanted to tell me more about the mine. He gave me like some of his old gear, like his old camping gear he took up, and like that foldable saw was something he took with him. And he just he was just so passionate about it. And when the first time I met him, I was like, this guy's wild, because like he's like blaming the curse on like his heart condition and everything, but he fully believed that curse came from the Lost Lemon mine and never had a chance to find the gold there. So yeah, it was pretty
interesting.
Yeah, passionate about it. They would go out for weeks at a time in the summer trying to like track this mine down.
So is it located on like Stony reservation land, as far as we know?
Supposed to be. Yeah, they're like when you're driving between, it must be like Crow's Nest area. Yeah, there's a sign on the side of the road that says like the Lemon Mine. And me and my wife were driving one day and we saw it. We're like, oh shit. So we got a picture of it and sent it to Rob. And we're like, we just found the mine location there. So yeah.
You could see how that get under your skin though, thinking that there's got to be something there to kill your friend over it.
Yeah.
It's more than just a little bit of gold.
Rob had binders of information on this too. Like he just, the amount of research and work he'd done for this was just incredible.
Sample ever kept, like, is there actually a tangible holdable piece of lemon
Not that
mine?
I know of.
Okay.
No. It's all like it's just like a
folklore
legendary story. Yeah, exactly.
Hearsay, yeah.
Yeah.
But 1862 isn't ancient history. Like that's not that
It's
long
true.
ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Or not, sorry, 1870s, yeah.
every time I'd go over to Rob's place, we would have a conversation with the Lost Lemon Mine. So as like he had the pacemaker, like hardly able to get around, and he's like, the plan was like 2 summers ago, I'll take you up there and we'll show you like the spot, and then you could like carry on. I'm like, I don't think you're making it up this mountain, Rob. But
yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Lost Lemon, the curse of the Lost Lemon Mine. There you go.
And he had so much research on this. So like when you brought up the Stonies and Blackjack, and man, just takes me back to listening to him tell these stories. But just a great guy, and He had the treasure hunting fever, you know. He's like every free minute he had, it was let's go treasure hunting here. So
I had no idea you had any connection.
I can follow his passion because, what was it, 2 years ago? I found that little rock on the Athabasca, across from Solomon, and I was skipping rocks and I found an upworked point, like nothing. It's prehistoric type thing. It's nothing fancy, but it definitely. Finding something that had been worked by human hands at potentially 1,000 years old got me running around picking up every rock in the country and looking around and checking stuff out. And
before I even met Matt, I saw that rock because I was with Scott when your wife brought that rock to Scott to like show him, ask him about it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was out at the kids' days out at not Kinky,
Kelly's Bathtub.
Kelly's Bathtub.
Yeah, no, I found a lot of hand axes and stone flakes out here, mostly quartzite stuff, but sometimes other things like it's all over. Yeah.
That spearhead that my parents found in their field,
amazing.
It's going to be in the Ram Museum now. I think they're starting the display in a couple months here, and they're making 3 replicas, so they're sending us a replica of it too.
I was going to ask if you had received that yet.
I haven't got it yet. My mom was asking all the other day. She's like, we haven't got it yet.
It's exciting.
Yeah, they say that spear point's like 9,500 years old or so.
Oh, wow.
So,
that's cool.
Pretty cool. Dennis Oven area, isn't that? That's right around that 10,000.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's been stone points found here 10,000 years and older, which is the last ice age where you're hunting mammoth and camels and all the ice age
And
critters
just
that
look
were
straight
here.
down through it from the top. Like hold it down under your face.
George is gonna get gold fever
Oh,
here.
yeah.
He's staring at the gold flower.
I mean, like from this angle, it looks like there's lots in there.
Looks like there's a ton in there.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're rich.
Yeah, but if you balled that all up on the ball of your finger,
Yeah.
I think you might have enough to produce a little tiny ball bearing that you could potentially roll on your fingers.
Like a BB.
Like much smaller than a regular BB, like half the size.
Okay.
But it's
Well, you got to start somewhere, right?
and that's what I would call a sample day. Like if you went out on the river.
This
and
is a full day of panning?
Yeah, and it's not a full day of panning. It's checking spots out. Like,
Well, here's the thing. Just listening to you talk, because I fish these rivers, I kayak and canoe them, I camp on them. Now it's like the sun's going down. You're washing dishes. Why not take that frying pan?
Yeah. Wash it in the river. Yeah.
Swish a little around and see what you find.
a
right?
cast iron frying pan would
Yep.
work great because of the texture.
And the color, I think the dark, wouldn't the gold
Oh, it
pop
would pop
on
on black. My pans are black. Predominantly like you'll get your green pans, like the gold on green comes
that
out really
good?
nice.
Is that good? Yeah.
Yeah. I just happen to have black pans and I like them. The pans I have aren't as sturdy as I would like. So you can get your different sizes, and it's the bigger one. I wish I actually had a good, sturdy, extra large pan. So when I want to fill that up, it's not folding up because you want it. But the smaller ones are fine.
Yeah.
Like if you're just starting off, you don't need. You're all in a medium. You don't want to go with a large pan because you'll get too much material in there, and it can become cumbersome.
Just frustrated.
Yeah. So the big thing is just it's easy. Go on Google and be like the top 10 tips for gold panning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my answer for everything. Somebody asked me a question, be like, I'm gonna Google it for you.
Yeah.
So
let's check out YouTube.
let's
There'll be an
just
answer.
check it out right away, and it'll tell you. But you're just looking for negative space or that negative energy where fast moving water is pouring over big heavy stones, and you have that dropout zone in behind. So
Inside river bends.
inside river bends, big looking for your gravel bars because that's where the gold is gonna fall out of the water, is in with your gravels, because you think if it's moving and it's heavy, it's not going to be up top with the light extra light stuff. It's going to be down inside of those gravels. And I tend to not go down in the States. The guys will tell you like heavy gravel, bigger gravel, bigger gold, especially if you're in that type of area, getting on the pay dirt and getting down into zones around here. If you're into the gold and you're working on a river, an old flood zone or the old river where it had deviated and moved off, those old river zones, get in there and you can dig. You don't even have to have water, but go in and dig a bucket full, get down and try to find the gray clay. There's a gray clay zone in this area. And on the McLeod or any river around here, if you can find that gray clay, you're going to find gold. The gray clay is important. If you can find it, great. Like you're in a good spot.
Yeah.
But the easiest gold, the most effective way to actually produce a little bit of gold at the end of the day is to have a couple 5-gallon buckets and the river moss on rocks and on the waters, like the top water line, and little islands on the McLeod. You get those little islands that have that river moss running across, and you might have some small aspens and brush and stuff. But right on that edge, take that river moss, just break it off and put it in a 5-gallon bucket, half full of water. Have a set of work gloves, like textured work gloves, and wash that moss and the roots until it's completely clean, and pan that. It's gonna be all black sand.
Okay.
It's right full. Like, so if you want the most effective way to get gold and produce it, and you don't want to be chasing it and flipping rocks over and doing test pans all day long, you just want to have gold at the end of the day, river moss. Inside bend, river moss, high water mark, guaranteed gold.
You heard it here first, folks.
Wow. I'm trying it, man. That sounds great. Our podcast question of the week this week was, what's the best treasure you found in a body of water? John wrote in, you found a knife. So that's a pretty nice find. Kyle found a fish hook. So, yeah, that's always a good one. My mom wrote in and said she found a buffalo skull on Brewster Creek or in Brewster Creek.
That's cool.
So,
That's cool.
That's a funky
That would be
one.
really neat.
Anything else you find in the river when you're panning besides gold? Anything like real cool?
You can find the odd garnet in your pan. Just sighting animals like so I almost said Brennan, Kate. Brendan, yeah, he's turning 18, graduating now.
Wow.
But Kate was with me, and we were sitting on the river, and I could be very philosophical and be like, I've found peace and harmony.
Right.
Nice.
But no, we were watching. There was a group of mule deer down below us, and they worked across the river. And then an hour or so later, a group of whitetail deer came up above us, and they worked across the river, very confused, looking at us, and they just carried on drinking their water and stuff. And but I had my son Brennan gold pen in there 4 or 5 years ago, and had a 3 or 4 year old grizz come off that little island.
Oh.
So you know where I'm talking about. It's before you get down to McLeod, you can jump off and head down towards the group use area.
Yep.
And there's a little gorilla camp zone right down next to the river, right before the. I won't go so far to tell everybody where it is, but
Somewhere
right
out
before
there.
that gate, you hang down and
Yep,
go in there.
I know exactly where
That
is.
little island, that's a good spot. You want to go down and pan, you just jump that creek. There's not so much on the inside of the island where that little smaller stream busts out onto the river. I've worked those benches. The best stuff's right there on that little island on the moss. Like if you wanted to go get gold, that's where strip off some of the moss off the high water mark on those rocks and find a rock that's flipped up right on that island. Find a big one that's where you've got at least a foot and a half of fall in behind it, and clear out the big stuff. But make sure when you're clearing off those big rocks, you'll have stuff stuck to those rocks. Make sure you brush that stuff off, because that's where a lot of that gold is stuck to, is on those rocks. So wash your rocks off in the bucket and then huck them.
Okay.
Have like a wash bucket, and then you don't want that stuff in your bucket. So yeah.
Lots of good tips there.
Yeah.
George.
Yeah.
Would you rathers, man?
Yeah, you want to do it?
Let's dive in.
Yeah. Would you rather? Okay, so would you rather? I got a couple good gold questions, good treasure questions. Okay, how about this one? Would you rather pan for gold with a group of experienced miners or solo relying on your own skills?
Experience helps.
Yeah? You'd rather be on the river with a bunch of people that know what they're doing?
Once or twice.
Yeah. Yeah, learn a few tips.
Yeah.
Start off with that. Unless the guy's named Mr. Lemon, then you better
Yeah,
get
exactly.
the hell out of there.
Watch out for that one.
Yeah. How about you, George?
I think Matt brought this up earlier on in the podcast too. Like, sometimes these things are just an excuse to get out there. You know, it's like, what are you doing
Exactly,
today?
yeah.
Well, I was going to go gold pan in the river. Like,
Yeah.
it's just an excuse to get out there. So I would probably rather rely on my own skills. You know, I might not.
Yeah, I
find
think
as much,
as a
but-
rule, but it wouldn't hurt to go out with somebody who knows what they're
Oh, yeah.
doing for 1 or 2 times,
Yeah.
right? And yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I did. I enjoyed having my friend, like having that person with you.
Yeah.
Beside you. Like, I don't think maybe having a whole group of people, but having one or maybe a buddy and his girlfriend and the kids or whatever.
Yeah.
But having that person, you jump up and you're like, you flash over that last bit of black sand and you've got 15, 20, 25 sparkly things on your pan, and you're like, you want to show somebody. You're like, dude, check this out. And you're like, he's like, sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, happiness needs
Oh,
to be
dude,
shared.
I wish
right?
I found that rock.
Yeah.
Good rock, man. My rock sucks.
Okay, we got lots of would you rathers. Let's hammer them. I got another good one here. Would you rather hike 30 kilometers barefoot through a desert, 30K. It's a hot day, barefoot, to find a gold bar. Or free dive, that's no tanks, nothing, in an icy lake 50 feet down to retrieve a gold bar. You're holding your breath. So which are you choosing?
I would choose to walk in the desert because I would do it at night. I ain't burning my feet off.
Smart guy.
Yeah,
Look
there
at
you go.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to do desert too. I don't think I could do 50 feet.
50 feet's a lot.
You're
I
dead.
did
a long ways down.
I did my
I'm
scuba.
dead. You're not dead. I know.
I mean,
I'm like,
people
nope.
will free dive deeper, but you need the training, man, to get
Yeah.
down that far. The temptation is you can do it so quick, where it's 30K in a hot desert. But as you said, go at night.
Go at night. Yeah. Okay.
Good call. Good call.
Okay, how about this one? Would you rather face a series of traps to get to a gold bar or enlist the help of a notorious thief to help you attain the gold bar?
A notorious thief because
Yeah.
you can trust him to try to steal it from you, so you know what to expect.
Yeah.
And he's going to have the expertise to get it for you.
Yeah.
Always trust a person. Always trust a liar to lie. Always trust a thief to steal.
Yeah.
You just have to figure out how he's not going to double cross you.
Yeah,
You know he's going to
exactly.
try, so you have to be one step ahead of him.
Yeah.
But
No,
he's
no,
got
you're,
the
you're
expertise.
you're the man with the pickaxe in this scenario.
I'll hold that. Yeah.
Or the 9mm. Yeah. How about you, George? What are you doing?
I mean, I like the idea of a series of traps. I think that sounds fun.
Yeah.
To get a gold bar.
It's an adventure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little adventure, a little quest. Yeah, I might try that.
Okay. Here's a good one. Time travel question. Would you rather attempt to strike gold during the Klondike Gold Rush, so you're right there in the heat of it, or join a pirate ship to attack a Spanish galleon laden with gold? You've got two options. So the Spanish galleons got gold, but they got guns, and
Yeah,
cannons,
they're fighting back.
and they're fighting back. Or you're in the gold rush, but we realize it was mostly all for naught. Most people came out poor, right?
Yeah.
I'd be in the gold rush and I'd sell equipment.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what they say. The people that made were successful with the gold rush were the
Businessmen
businessmen,
selling the
yeah.
guys all their stuff. Good luck. Here
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would go gold rush too. I love the idea. Like I read these old Western books every now and again, like the Louis L'Amours, and it's like I could see myself hanging out in a saloon and
Deadwood. Have you ever watched Deadwood HBO series?
no, I've heard
Oh
it's
my goodness gracious,
good one, eh?
that is a deadly one.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It is. It's phenomenal. It's a great piece of American video culture.
Yeah.
It's a shame they never finished it. They did, but all of the characters got so famous, like the Swearinger. Oh, I met that character. The communication between one of the shop managers and the Vietnamese, the character that was bringing in the opium during that day, it was big. And they communicated by swearing at each other and sign language and doing charades and shit. It was a comedy masterpiece.
You going on pirate ship then, Scott? Or
I
you,
don't know. The pirate ship, there's part of me that just, that would be so fun if I wouldn't get killed. But,
Scurvy. The scurvy immediately. I'm
The
like,
scurvy.
the scurvy.
No, I'm
I'm
just
like,
thinking
man,
of
my
the
Tony's
battle.
falling off.
I'm
and-
thinking of the battle. You'd be so jacked up. You'd be
yeah.
hyped. You got your musket ready and your sword. But, I'm not really the type to be killing people. So, and I do love the Yukon and that sort of northern Canadian ecosystem. So I'd probably do the Klondike. It just sounds a lot more boring than attacking with a pirate ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got another one there, bud?
Yeah, I got. We kind of touched this one earlier, actually. Would you rather find a treasure buried in the belly of a dragon, or unearth a treasure guarded by ancient guardian statues? Possibly
the
cursed.
statues.
Oh, I'm going
Kurt-
statues.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, I would say a nice prayer and tell them thank you. And
I'm breaking the
blessings-
curses.
The blessings upon my family will flourish through generations of. Yeah, I mean, then I'd prance away.
It does. Yeah, I mean, it sounds peaceful, actually. Yeah. Scott, is that what you're going to then?
Oh, definitely.
Little statues?
Yeah, I can break the curse. I don't think I'm fighting the dragon.
You're not
very
battling
soon.
Light some sage, have a moment.
Okay, here's a good one. Would you rather dig for gold in a canyon infested with venomous snakes. Now, there's guaranteed gold, but you're digging in a canyon infested with venomous snakes, or you dive for gold in shark-infested waters. You got scuba tanks now.
Yeah.
Are you hitting up the sharks or the venomous snakes?
Oh, man.
Both areas have same amount of gold.
I don't know if I can rationalize my way out of this one.
Yeah.
Well, you'd firebomb that valley. And then
Flamethrowers.
calling it airstrike. And then wear an they actually have really neat devices for shark protection that I'm pretty sure it's a pack, and you just basically electrify it if the shark comes in and it touches you.
Yeah.
And even comes close, and fucking zap the bastard.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good trick. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, George?
Man, I don't know if I could do venomous snakes. I would probably have to go swimming. Yeah. I think I could battle a shark. I feel like sharks are, sharks are like bears. Like
It's right
they're
up there with
just-
grizzly. You can wrestle a grizzly
they're
bear.
not like they're-
Rent a shark cage, go down in, run the dredge with one hand out the cage, keep an eye on it.
No sharks around. All right, we're
Yeah,
good.
you have to hire some guys with spear guns to stand guard.
Well, dredging is another thing. That's something that's not allowed in Alberta. You're not allowed to do any sort of that, like
Right.
removal, hydraulic sluicing, anything. So that when you're using a water cannon to hit a riverbank to.
But you can use shovels, right?
All
anything.
anything hand driven.
Yeah.
Big thing about high banking you got to put out there too is that it's your water displacement. So you have to have a runoff area, so that when you're shoveling your dirt, the water and material, the water coming out of your machine has to have a lay down area so that you have a pool, so it has time to dissipate the I can't talk now.
Like the sediment and everything.
The sediment has time to settle out. Exactly. Thank you, George. So yeah, it drops out of solution. So it's lightly dirty water running back into your main water source.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So it's important to know your regs and that sort of stuff too. So,
Yeah.
but I find that the attention on that sort of stuff out here, people aren't doing it in masses. So there's no attention to it. Personally found illegal dredges on the rivers and old school setup. So they think of grizzly bars, a big set of grizzly bars that have metal riffles built into them, and guys would go out on there on the river on the inside bend of a river. It's exactly where we found them, and they would move the big stones out of the way and then drop these riffle bars down into the river, and then roll another stone or something back up and cover it up, like kind of hide it. And then, the spring runoff comes through and it moves hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of yards of material over top of them. And then they come in when the river comes down, and they just take the gold and everything out of it. I don't know what they get. They might, who knows, they might get a gram or a couple grams out of it. But
Well, that's just it. Even as I was prepping for today, I was thinking, okay, there's gold flower in these rivers. There's not much to be found at a time, but if you added it all up, that's a heck of a lot of gold.
it's yardage. So
It's out there. Like, there's volume if you could only get your hands on it, right?
So you look at these guys that are up north in the Yukon and stuff, their recovery rate per volume is astronomically small. So they're getting a gram or two out of or not even a gram. That would be a gram a yard would be something crazy.
Oh, that'd be a lot, yeah.
It'd be, but these 0.12 or 0.08 out of 1,000 pounds or 1,000 kgs of material, you do that 10,000 times, that number increases. And so you think about that when you're on the river, and if I could just run a dredging hose on the main channel and get down to bedrock and start moving that material, woo!
Yeah.
Look out. That's where you get the gold rush, or you get a gold rush off that. You pull out 3 to 4 or 5 grams out of your gold cube after you clean up your cons. Man,
Now you're hooked.
So it's illegal to do that,
illegal. Yeah.
but you can buy like a claim, or you can.
Yep. You can buy a claim and then work the land.
Yeah.
But there's legalities, and you have to like when you're selling that stuff, if you get good enough where you can sell it, and I think this, upwards of an ounce, anything under an ounce, anything over it, like if you're going industrial, and then there's taxes and you're only allowed to sell
Things
so
start
much.
get pretty regulated pretty
Oh
quick.
yeah, well, it's taxable income, boy.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I got one more. Would you rather? Do you have another one there?
You
George?
kind of covered the other one I had. It was what's your last one?
Okay. Get ready, boys. Would you rather steal gold from the Mexican cartel? Yeah, we're in trouble now.
Yeah.
Or have to climb a tall, steep cliff with no ropes to find gold. Like we're talking like rock climbing grade, but you're free soloing.
Yeah.
So good chance of death either way by falling or.
I'm Mexican cartel all the way. I think I'd have too much fun. I would, yeah. You're like, well, I'd have some flashbacks and I got enough firepower. I'd do all right.
Yeah.
You're going Mexican cartel.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
I'd get the plates in and be like, all right, boys, saddle up. I need some new nods though. Yeah.
How about you, George?
I think I want to. Oh man, I don't know. It's a tough one. I mean, I'm not a rock climber, but I might try it for some gold. I don't think I'd be very good at battling the cartel. I feel like if I stole from the cartel, I would always be like
Watching
watching
your
around my
back.
shoulder.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they're coming for me. Whereas the other one, like it's tough too to brag about your gold bars that you stole from the Mexican cartel. You know, it's like, where'd you get?
Yeah,
these?
you can't really brag about it too much.
Whereas if you climb a mountain, I would climb the mountain. I think
You would,
I
eh?
would try it.
So you know Mountain Meadows at Rock Lake? Like when you're at Rock and you're looking up and the big
Sure.
flat shape, it's called Mountain Meadows. Jackson Trail just takes you right above it.
Yeah.
And you can sit on Jackson Trail, literally sit on the dirt on your butt, and you can feels like you're dangling your legs down over the side.
Yeah.
There is a bit of an angle, but man, oh man, if you're not dangling them, it's... So we came up, I was out there shed hunting with my wife and my son, and I went out with my rubber boots on. And I'm like, well, let's just go across the river and we'll check for sheds and we'll work up and we'll do some side hilling. And because I'm figuring they're bed down that slope on those little benches, little tiny benches. And I was right. And just found old ones that had been chewed up and stuff. But we got up to the base. I could come out of the timber and then you're on that side hill. And I told Laura and Brennan to head for the tree line. I said, I know Jackson Trail's just up above us here, but you guys stay in the tree line so that at least you can hold on to something and pull up. Well, I went right up the face of her with my galoshes on and with fingernails dug right into the side of that grass. Boy, I tell you, it was elbows and knees until I got up there. I was like, wow, that was something. Man, the toenails were dug right in through the rubber boots right into the dirt. But,
Well, we often say here on this podcast, it's much easier to climb uphill than downhill. So you can get yourself in big trouble, right? You start climbing like a ladder up a cliff, and then you look down and think, there's no way on God's green earth I'm going down.
you start picking up momentum, you're done.
Yeah.
Well, there was a lady that she come off her horse 2 years ago up there, and they had to hell lift her out of there because she wound up 30 feet up a tree, and well, the horse bucked up on the trail coming almost in that exact. They came out of the tree line or they were coming back down. I'm not sure how that worked, but she came off that horse. She would have flown through the air 100 feet before she had to hit the ground, like coming off an animal at height.
Yeah.
And then coming down and then bounced, and lucky she survived and everything. But man, oh man,
it's some steep country for sure.
Did you find any sheds this spring? You went out?
I don't think I went out looking for any, honestly.
Jeez. Disappointed.
I know. Well, the little one. I wish I had the time I had before. Man, oh man, I'll sit in the shed drinking a beer and be like, well, I found that one.
Yeah.
Back, and I tripped over that one.
Yeah.
I actually had a couple girls down the street. They came down with their father and having a beer, and they said, Matthew, what are all those antlers doing down over the hill? Old white ones, chalkies,
Yeah.
and really no space for them because they're just, useless. And I was like, well, why do you want them? And they were like, can I have them? I was like, girls, you can, as many as you can carry home. And their dad looked at me like, really? And I'm like, dude, they're down over the fence. Like, I don't need them, don't want them, obviously. Well, they were lugging old elk. There was a 7-point elk shed that I had, and it was just chalky and split and everything.
Yeah.
And I was going to cut the buttons off them to repair a set that had come off a farm, big trophy 6x6 set that had gotten a fight with the herd bull, and the herd bull had killed it. But the herd bull, it's probably worth $100,000 at this game farm. And they came in with the chainsaw and cut the bases off of the other bull.
Yeah.
And they were given to me. They're like, hey, do you want these? And I was like, yeah. I'll definitely take them. So I was going to use the old buttons and drill out the center core and run a 5/8 eye bolt up inside of it and fix them. Of course, that's one of those projects along with 687 other ones. And I was like, oh no, I'm just moving on. I
got some gold pans to do here.
Yeah, I just slapped them up on the wall and carry on with my day.
Yeah, exactly. How was your hunting season, by the way?
It was all right. It wasn't crazy. I could have taken an elk earlier in the season, and it was so darn hot.
Is a bull? You're going after bull?
I was going after a bull last year, and I really could have taken a cow, and I should have taken the cow. It would have been cool because the way I was out hunting was with my canoe, using my John boat with my jet prop motor. And when it gets low, I just sneak downriver in my canoe and slide into a good spot. But yeah, I good film them. They were 15 yards. They wouldn't have been across this shop apart. Watched them all walk out in front of me. I tracked them for a couple kilometers over a couple hours until finally they decided to walk across the trail in front of me. And yeah, is that full draw 2 times? I came up and down twice, waiting for the bull to come out. Cow, calf, cow, calf. And then finally out walks the monster himself, and he had 2 points. The herd bull wasn't with those cows till too early in the season, and the only bull that was with him was a great big enormous spiker.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't take bull then, but no, nothing crazy to speak of. Going to be a little different this year. I'm going to put on a lot of work on the river. And
yeah. Well, we'll get you back for hunting season for sure. And we want to do an episode gold panning. I think that'd be a fun one. We got the equipment. We could do on location.
We could do live on location.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
I've got the spots. I'd take you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you've given away too many spots on this podcast now. The Cloud River's going to be bombarded.
Yeah, the hate mail's coming in as we speak.
Well, it's just a good day. It's everywhere. Like, you could actually kick up dirt pretty well anywhere on the McLeod.
Yeah.
Like, you would have to go out of your way to try to not find it.
Yeah, it's just there. It's in the McLeod.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone wants to get into it, I mean, I know you mentioned like Google, best friend, like just for equipment, like can you start just with a pan?
That's all you need.
A single pan,
a pan and a hand shovel.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to move crazy amounts of material. You just need to pick a nice spot.
Yeah.
Like, you just
read the river.
Read what you're doing.
Lift some of that moss up.
The river moss, like, that's guaranteed.
Yeah.
If you're in the right spot, just work the inside bends. So you'll have the inside bend in the far, far side after a big bend in a river. You'll have this big, well, the guys are seeing what I'm doing. Yeah. I'm waving my hand around.
Twirling his hand around for some reason.
So that inside bend, you'll have that area where gold's going to fall out. And then on the far side, a little bit further down. Not directly across from where you're hunting on that inside bend. It's just a little further down because that's where your major runoff, like in the spring of the year, coming out of those bends.
And you want to go low water, hey? Or is this stuff found in high water as well?
It's found up and down and all through, but you're going to find... I've never actually gone out into the channel too far. I found it not to be as well.
So this would be a good time of year to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
George, grab a pan. Let's go.
You adding one to your arsenal?
You know what? I'm going to be on Google tonight on Amazon.ca seeing what a starter set for gold pans could cost me.
$44.97 probably. It's not crazy.
And a lot of them are plastic. Are those okay?
Well, that's what I have. That's actually, honestly, that's what I got. I got the Amazon special. I ended up getting the 2-pan combo. I actually just got the 2-pan combo and then bought the bigger one later. So I have the 3 different small, medium, and large.
Mm-hmm.
But you can buy it with the biggest thing is getting yourself a little is your soccer bottle so that you can pick up that fine gold in your pan and you don't like
an eyedropper.
it is like an eyedropper.
Oh yeah, so you got it in your pan. When you're panning, you see some gold. You got your eyedropper, and you're
I'll just take
Yeah,
it,
take
grab
it,
it,
okay.
and I'll squeeze it, and you have half the bottle full of water, and you just suck it up into your bottle. So
you
I'll
hate
do
to have
that
some
with a
flakes
lot of
in there, and then dump your pan out.
So if I have a good pan and I've found a good spot where I'm finding heavy metals and I'm finding ironstone and that sort of stuff, and you get it down and you've got quite a little pile and it's nothing but black sand, I won't spend my time trying to get the gold out of that there, and I won't I won't put it in a bucket. I'll just suck it all up into that container. And then
fiddle with it at home.
And then fiddle with it at home. It's
Okay.
all recovering it down to this point where you can actually see nothing but a line of gold in the bottle. That's into full evening of sitting there.
Yeah, watch the hockey game and suck out one grain at
And
a
you
time.
won't believe the weight of the black sand, that metallic sand. When you get a pan full of that and you actually have, like if you took as much as your hand could hold of that stuff, you would be overly surprised.
And that's mostly iron ore?
It is, yeah.
Well, there you go. There you got a use for that. Melt it down and start.
And it's magnetic too. So
something.
Gold's not magnetic, and black sand is magnetic.
Yeah.
So you can go to the dollar store and they've got like fidget magnets that. So you take one of those fidget magnets, and you kind of have to be careful that you're not slamming the material together under the pan. So what I mean is, you get your material, your black sand and gold, and you take that magnet and you run it underneath of your pan, but you just do it a little bit at a time and you slowly drag it, and you can pull all that black sand away and it leaves your gold exposed, and then you can suck it up.
Nice.
Cool. You ever try the wild hay?
No.
Big Berlin wild hay.
We're going camping at the wild hay soon. So I'm
Pinto.
like, I wonder if I should get a gold pan and
Man, you never know.
yeah.
Strike it rich. Well, just take something from the kitchen to start off with.
It'll tell you that there is. So if you go online and you look up the gold report for the rivers in Alberta, and it'll give you a list of rivers that hold gold or don't hold gold, and that where concentrations per pan, like so, what do they call it? Like PPU, parts per unit or whatever. It kind of gives you an estimate on how much gold is in the area. So the big one that I forgot about, we almost got on, it was on the Athabasca. So the big rumor, the Athabasca River, of course, flows up, goes all the way up. And then the amount of gold that they're getting out of the top end of it is substantial when they're dredging the ocean. So, and there's gold. You get up, of course, to Fort Mac and all of that, and there's lots of gold in the Athabasca.
That's what I heard. Fort Mac
so
shows up in the
it's
Athabasca.
about once you get up that far, it's about the same amount that you could get out of the North Saskatchewan River. Good spot. So but it's not here. It starts here. So I've taken gold pans and worked the Athabasca enough that I know that it's not worth my time. Like I wouldn't go to the Athabasca here to be like, I'm gonna find gold. But what's happening, and the old fellas, the story is that either coming off of Solomon or Black Cat, one of those mountain ranges in the Brule Flats, the gold seam is coming out of there and it runs down underneath the river. And there's so much sedimentation that flows through that river every spring on the runoff that it's scratching that gold off of that seam at that particular spot. And then, of course, the other rivers dump into it that they're gold bearing too as well. So and that's where a lot of that coming from. But the conversations I've listened to is that they're convinced that there's a gold seam coming off of Solomon or in that area underneath, but it's underneath the river and it's right in the middle because there's no gold up and there's nothing to mine up there unless you're blowing the mountaintop off, right? Like. But there's no seam, there's no quartz seam to think of or speak of coming off of that area right there. But the gold shows up right there because there's none in Jasper. There's like,
This is the stuff that keeps you awake at 3 a.m.
Looking where's that seam coming up in the river, and
But it's not but there's not enough for me. There's not. I'm like, I think it's just getting attributed from other tributaries, and that it's Alberta's natural gold deposit. Like it's just our dirt. Alberta gravel is full of gold. Alberta gravel, like all our dirt around here has gold in it. It's just how much part per yard,
And
right?
how can you get it out?
right,
Yeah.
I had a guy working at a shop. The fellow that taught me how to gold pan, we showed up on a job site, and I was running the water pumps at a river source. And he's like, you better get down here with this thing, and showed me how to work it. And I was like, wow, cool. But he we were in the shop, and we just had a bunch of gravel dropped off and bladed it all out with the hoe and everything. And he says, oh, yeah, I bet you there's gold in that gravel right there. And the guys are teasing him. He's like, no, I'm serious. He's like, watch this. He went and got his pan out of the truck, and he just stepped out, and he filled that thing right full of gravel. Scooped her all up, got the dirt and everything, filled her full of water, and he took his time, and he washed that pan out. And I think he pulled out 4 or 5, like, just like that, stuff in the vial. But there have been 4, like, there's probably 3,000 in there that don't add up to nothing.
yeah.
So, but yeah, he had, 3, 4, 5 little sparkles in the top, and he's like, there you go.
Yeah.
Alberta dirt and gravel is full of
There you
gold,
go.
but it's just so fine.
Head to the gravel pit.
There you go.
Matt, thanks for coming on, man. This was a interesting conversation about gold panning. I know when we were planning this episode, I'm like, I don't really know too much. I know Matt's been doing it for a few years. Scott didn't know too much. Like, do we have enough? But I thought this was great.
It was fun. I think you've got me curious. I'm
I'm
seriously.
surprised
I'm
you
going to
don't.
give this a try.
It blows all the stuff.
Yeah.
You're making bows and arrows and
Yeah, no, I'm too prehistoric. Like I'm caveman.
Yeah.
So this is a step
You're
up.
moving into the 1800s
Yeah,
now.
the Bronze Age, the Gold Age. Yeah.
Matthew Ritchie, you can find him and follow some of your adventures on the next chapter on Facebook there.
that's this year should be exciting. It'll be coming out this fall when we start to release what we're filming this summer. But yeah, it should be interesting. We'll be doing gold panning and just camping and general stuff until hunting season starts.
Cool.
And then,
Looking forward to that.
I've got 2 weeks off, and I got Chris Borger is my friend of mine. He has professional TV quality gear. Like, it's amazing. And he doesn't get to use it, but he buys all the stuff. And he's like, I got to use this stuff. I'm like, well, come on, we're going for 2 weeks elk hunting.
Yeah.
So it should be fun.
Well,
Cool.
keep us posted on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scott Sunderwald, the Northern Rockies Bushcraft on Instagram. Scott's just, man, you're making baskets and bows.
Baskets and bows. Yeah. Flint napping, arrowheads. It's still on my bucket list to take a big game animal with handmade bow and stone point. So
a little
stay
gold
tuned.
on the tip of it.
Yeah.
Where'd
now,
you get the wood for your bow? You said, now what?
I got Pacific Yew, but if you
Yeah.
want to go local here, it's not great, but you can use birch. I've made birch bows that would be strong enough to use on a whitetail hunt. If you want a little more serious wood, vine maple in BC, just on the other side of the border. Vine maple's pretty damn strong. And if you head east, go for green ash.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some river valley stuff in Edmonton. It just makes me drool, but it's all protected. But
Now I made a bow when I was in the Army down in Wainwright, and I used what's that called? Black diamond willow.
yeah,
Now this was just rudimentary compared to Scott's beautiful bow he made. But there's this funny story about that because, of course, being young and silly in the Army and killing time, I was like, well, I'm going to make myself a bow and arrow. Guys are, a bit of a hillbilly kid growing up, so the guys are all teasing me, that won't work, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, whatever. So it took me 3 days, and I found a nice piece of black diamond willow, and at least that's what the sergeant had told me. I didn't know no different. I just chopped down a tree and scun it all off, took the bark off, kind of pre-shaped it a little bit, and then used the exhaust on a coyote So a coyote is an armored troop carrier, and the exhaust on the side of a coyote is quite large.
Yeah.
So I used the exhaust on that to dry that wood
Just
out.
to dry it, yeah.
And then, so it ran around on that thing for a good 12 hours. We were on a road move, so it kind of cooked that wood.
Yeah.
And took a chunk of paracord apart, and then took 3 strands and braided myself a bowstring out of the paracord string.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, lashed it all up and had a bit of a recurve to it, but it wasn't crazy. And then chopped down some willow bush and made a few arrows and got the guys while we were on patrol to look for feathers, like bird feathers, because there's geese around.
Oh, yeah.
So I ended up getting some feathers.
Yeah.
Split the feathers, made myself some feathers, and used my sewing kit to thread the feathers on, and had a fire and hardened the tips. And so this is over like a 4-day period.
Yeah.
And slowly but surely, guys weren't making fun of me anymore. Now they're like, holy fuck, he's going to shoot this. This is going to work. This is going to work. Cool. So one morning, it was that morning I got it out, and I set up a target on a tree, and I'm getting ready to shoot it. Well, I'd got myself in trouble on a patrol a few days previous. We were walking along, and there was a thunder flash on the trail, and I picked it up and then threw it at my buddy. Like it's inert until you strike. It's like a road flare, and then it goes off like a grenade. Like
Yep.
It goes boom.
Yeah.
And it makes, anyways. So I threw it at my buddy Kyle, but when he was walking, he leaned and it went right past his head. So God bless the kid. He thought we were like, he played the game. He's like, contact enemy, because he sees a grenade land at his feet. Like I say, it's a plastic tube, or anyways, makes a little bang. So yeah, anyways, I got in trouble for that because I was laughing way too hard. They were like, what happened? And I'm
Yeah.
like in full on silent laughter. So warrant officer comes out and he says, you're not going to be able to, that won't work. I said, I know it'll work. Like, I bet you it will. And he's like, what do you want to bet? And I was like, how about my 7 extras I owe you? Double or nothing. And he says, well, I like those odds.
Yeah.
Anyways, I set a little target up and I pull my string back, and it probably had 25, 30 pounds of good.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah.
And but I didn't want to break it either, so I was really cautious. But I had used a lot of paracord, and I had built up a mound I had reinforced the middle and made a big handle out of paracord so that you wouldn't break at the center point. Anyways, I pull back, and I'm like, please, Jesus, let me hit this. And anyways, and I missed that target by about 6 inches right, like completely missed it. But the arrow slammed into like a 4-inch poplar and sunk that arrow in there about 1.5 inches.
Huh.
And the warrant officer was a city kid, black fella that had never really knew much about the woods or anything. Like, he grew up in the...
Yeah.
He actually got bombed in Bosnia. That's a whole different story. Like, artillery bombed in like the big incident in Bosnia.
Okay.
At the UN Olympic Stadium, and with the UN. Anyways, that was... yeah, so he ran over, he tried to pull the arrow out of the tree, and he couldn't. And he was blown away. So then the guys found out that my bow and arrow worked. So they were shooting this thing like 350 yards at a 45-degree angle across the field.
Oh, wow.
And giggling, and they'd shoot my arrows and then run across the field. These are grown men, like, armed with rifles and shit, and they're playing with my bow and arrow.
Shooting the bow.
Until Titcomb almost got killed, and then I got it taken away. We got scolded, and they took it away.
Yeah.
Well, it's shocking it works. And I would say, you could walk out in the bush and within 5 hours have a bow that's strong enough to take a deer from scratch with a hunting knife if you know what you're doing.
If you know what you're doing.
And out here I would target birch. There's river birch, there's paper birch. Go for the river birch. It's more red. And then you want to fire harden it, so get your coals going. And you'll get a 40-pound bow, 45-pound bow in 5 hours. Use your bootlace or some paracord, and you've got a real hunting weapon. So
that's cool.
It is possible. Yeah.
We haven't done an episode on like this, like primitive weapons. Like, we've kind of danced around it quite a bit.
I could talk for months on primitive weapons, bolas, slings. I mean, that's my jam.
Let's put it on the list of
smokeless powder is
episodes.
about as primitive. Well, bow and arrow, actually, I guess I do. Like, that's primitive, but with fancy bows.
Yeah, I could bring some in here.
Yeah.
We could try some throwing. We could do live on location
Let's
stuff
do it.
too. Yeah.
We'll add that to our list of podcast episodes. And thanks to everyone that's been listening. This podcast has been a lot of fun to do, and some real good feedback from
There's
the
gold
towns.
in them hills,
There
folks.
is.
Yeah.
There is. It's here.
If you want to get a hold of the podcast or send a question in, send it in. We got to get some more questions for Ask Scott. I haven't promoted the last few episodes and haven't got emails. So if you got a question for Scott, ask Scott. Send them to wildernesswave@outlook.com. We have a new logo, too. My wife just designed a new logo, so that's coming out
Nice.
shortly,
Yeah.
and we might have a little bit of swag, too. So
T-shirts coming up.
I want a sticker.
yeah, we'll get stickers. We'll get you a koozie. We'll get we got the plans are never ending. So
I love stickers. Every grown man should love a sticker.
yeah.
Put them on my guitar case. Yeah.
Um,
Right on.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on, guys.
Yeah, good to have you here, Matt.
We'll
My
have you again
pleasure.
soon, Matt. Of course. Love your energy and chatting with you, Scott. We'll. I'm not sure what the next episode is, but
We'll be gold panning on the river.
exactly. Yeah.
I'll be bear hunting next week, so I'll probably have something for you.
Perfect. Okay, that sounds good.
Wilderness Wavelength.